Well, here we are once again, WSM guest artist, presenting this time Ranger Doug.
And Sidemeat here with another version of classic Cowboy Corral, Ranger Doug.
That's right, the show we do on Sirius XM every week. I noticed that the 1 hour a week that you're not listening to WSM, the Air Castle of the South, you're probably tuned into classic Cowboy Corral on Sirius XM Channel 56.
That would be how you'd want to portion out your radio listening. You can't go wrong with the Air Castle of the South, though, as we brought the cowboy music here, the great silver screen Cowboys of the Western Way.
That's exactly right, Sidemeat. We're going to do an hour of great classic Western music, some very famous and some very obscure, and that's what kind of makes it fun.
The first one there that you heard was the Great Sons of the Pioneers with Yippi, Troubles Away, and then Marty Robbins with his own self-penned effort, Big Iron.
And, of course, the guest artist program has a long-standing tradition of shameless self-promotion.
Yes.
So
I've heard Jim Lauderdale, I know.
Our next song is by Riders in the Sky. What a surprise.
What a brilliant programming choice.
On our new album, which is so much fun for us because we got together in the studio for 12 tracks with the great character actor Wilford Brimley, who folks will remember from Terms of Endearment and Cocoon and many other movies.
And The Natural.
Field of Dreams.
And he drove many a stagecoach in the old Gunsmoke series, too.
He sure did. A wonderful guy and a good singer.
And a fine singer.
So he is singing Rosetta in this next cut coming up. And since we like to play two back-to-back, we'll follow him up with the king of the Cowboys, Roy Rogers, singing The Lights of Old Santa Fe from the soundtrack of that eponymously titled movie of 1944, The Lights of Old Santa Fe. All right. Roy Rogers, one of my very favorite Roy Rogers cuts of all time, The Lights of Old Santa Fe.
What do you like about that one, Ranger Doug? Is the melody? Or
beautiful melody and a great little story in there. Just it's such a romantic setting, and the Sons of the Pioneers do such beautiful harmony. That was written by Jack D. Elliott.
Yeah, that's right.
Who you may know as the writer of Roll On Texas Moon.
Yeah, I knew he had several.
Many Roy Rogers.
Yeah.
And if you know the actress, what is her name? Nina Gershon.
Nina Gershon.
That's his niece.
Whose niece?
Jack D. Elliott.
Jack D. Elliott's niece is Nina Gershon.
So
you're not going to hear that on most radio shows.
Right. Gina. Is it Gina or Nina? Well, we'll look it up.
Gina was her twin.
Oh, yeah.
Nina and Gina.
And Nina.
Nina and Gina.
Nina. All right, let's move on. Every week on Classic Cowboy Corral, we feature a real old-timer.
And now it's time for the old-timer.
Yes, indeed. And we go back to 1928, the early days of cowboy recording, and an obscure but wonderful figure who never quite learned to tune his guitar, named Mark Williams.
That's right.
The cowboy crooner. And he recorded in the late 20s up through the early 30s, and no one knows where he came from, and no one knows where he went.
Would he have been on the WSM playlist back in those days?
I doubt that. He was on Brunswick, and then later on Decca. So we're going to feature his very spooky, great tune called Sioux Indians. And then, Sidemeat, you came up with the brilliant idea of giving away a snow globe.
That's right, for Facebook Fun Time.
Facebook
Fun Time, the best time of the day. First we play your request, then we give a nice prize away.
What a great song. Did you just write that?
I just wrote that. It's a
brilliant.
Little jingle I came up with.
Who's our winner today?
Our winner is, we went on Facebook and people could request a song. And so this one goes out to Barbara O'Connor of Grand Junction, Colorado.
Well, Barbara, I hope you're listening. You asked for the cattle call, and I came up with a great version that people don't hear much. Tex Ritter, one of the great singing cowboys, along with Andy Parker and the Plainsmen, singing the cattle call, right after we hear Mark Williams sing Sioux Indians. There you are, the original hit version from 1949, Vaughn Monroe and his orchestra, the Moon Maids and the Moon Men doing the choral backup and singing Riders in the Sky.
The Moon Maids and the Moon Men, you say?
I do indeed.
And that was the backup singers there.
Yep, before that was the Yodeling Boogie from a telescription that Wesley Tuttle did. Our old friend Wesley Tuttle, great yodeler, great guy from Colorado.
Yeah, that's right.
And all-star Western cast. There was Speedy West on the steel and Billy Liebert on the accordion, Johnny Paul on the fiddle, and What an outfit.
Don't forget Hank Caldwell on the bass.
Hank
there.
Caldwell on the bass. He was one of Andy Parker's plainsmen.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you.
It was an all-star band. What can I say?
I'm telling you.
He knew how to put them together. And
Yeah, Wesley Tuttle didn't cut no corners when it
his
came
beautiful
to
wife, Marilyn, back there clapping her hands.
Yeah, he didn't cut no corners with Marilyn either.
No, he didn't. He got the best.
He
when
got the
her.
peach right there.
Had a great story about the Riders in the Sky. I've often wondered, since that's one of the first records I ever remember hearing as a kid, who played the guitar. And I've asked about it, asked a couple of people. Phone rings about a month ago, and Ranger Doug? Yeah? This is Bucky Pizzarelli. Oh, come on. Who is this?
He thought it was me.
Quit putting me on. I thought it was him, yeah. No, it is. Bucky Pizzarelli. I heard you wanted to know if I was playing on that Riders in the Sky. Yeah, I did. Well, it was me. As a very young man, he toured with Vaughn Monroe's orchestra, and of course, he's one of the legends of the jazz guitar, still playing in his 80s, and great guy.
Yeah, that's terrific. He plays the rhythm guitar in that, isn't that right?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
that's
man,
right.
he's chunking along right there.
He could bring the goods.
Boy, he sure
Speaking of bringing the goods, it's time for Sidekick Corner.
Yes, where we salute one of the great sidekicks of the great silver screen. And this week we're saluting Ken Curtis, Ranger Doug.
Yes, we are. You often do a little research into the lives and background of our sidekicks, do you not?
I didn't have to research Ken. I knew him very well.
Did
when
you?
he was a young man. I cooked for him years ago.
You cooked for him?
He was
Good.
from Colorado.
Yeah, he was.
His father was a sheriff there out in Animas County, and near Larimer.
Remember?
Yeah. And you know who else was from out there?
Lamar.
Wesley.
That's what you're trying to think of.
Wesley Tuttle was from there.
Yes, he was.
I know, but I don't know that they knew each other then. And Ken Curtis, of course, was a quarterback on the high school football team, and a wonderful singer, and had a career as a legit singer. Ranger Doug. He played sang with the Dorsey Orchestra.
He did.
And then a kid named Sinatra came out of New Jersey and took the gig, and so then Ken Curtis didn't work for Dorsey, but he worked for him later. He came back when Sinatra left. Kind of an interesting story there.
Yeah.
And then Ken Curtis joined the Sons of the Pioneers for about, 4 or 5 years. Their late 40s, early 50s. And then he saw the light. He became a sidekick.
Well, that was a pivotal moment.
That was a career choice to dream of right there. Ranger. I made the same choice. And it's turned out great.
You were a cowboy hero before
I was a cowboy hero. I had a great deep voice, and I was about 6'4".
You could ride like the wind.
I could ride. Oh, I could fight.
Now you got only this miserable old mule.
But I got stove up, and they threw me on the trash heap of show business. But then I found out that a sidekick could make a great living, Ranger Doug, and you didn't have to stand up in the front and take the bullet. You could stand in the back.
Natter.
Well, a sidekick has to have an amusing vocal tick. That's how you know he's a sidekick. And Ken Curtis, with his gorgeous singing voice, has this ridiculous nasal. That's right. I come from a pure dime, Doc. And and he was really asking for his per diem, but my pure dime. So. He became a sidekick. He was the longest running sidekick on Gunsmoke for 11 years.
Wow!
And then he went on to, he was in a horror movie. I forget what it was called. Remember that Ken Curtis? He was in a horror movie.
He produced one.
Yeah, he produced a couple.
Attack of the Mole People or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So it was just one thing after another.
Quite a lot.
Triumph after triumph.
Well, he was in a lot of John Wayne movies as well, and he
sure
also starred in a series of Columbia musical westerns in the middle 1940s.
That's right. Well, so we're going to feature him now with some of his work. And what song are we going to have old Ken?
We're going to have him do two, because there was a Capitol album put out a number of years ago called Festus Sings About Dodge City.
See, now that tells you what it is right there.
That
you don't
tells
have to
everything.
wonder. It's not, War and Peace. What is this about? No, you know exactly what it's about.
In case
That's
you
what
wanted
a
to hear.
sidekick does. He doesn't obfuscate. He interrupts, but he doesn't obfuscate.
Interrupts all the time. And then if you want to hear what Ken really sounded like, there's a cut from the early 1950s we've pulled out of a Lucky You Ranch radio broadcast where he sings Room Full of Roses.
Well, let's hear the two sides of Ken Curtis.
That'll show you that Ken Curtis could really sing. What a voice.
Man, what a voice.
Well, we've been talking away and filling in folks with history and gibberish at the same time.
That's my job.
And we've about run out of time. So we have a couple more tunes for you. I want to set them up for you and invite you once again, the hour a week. You don't listen to Air Castle of the South, 650 WSM. You might tune us in for this show every week on Willie's Roadhouse, Sirius XM 56.
Right, Jar Ranger. I want the folks to write into us, too, ridersinthesky.com.
Love to hear from you.
And also on the Facebook there.
We got the Facebook page.
Got the Facebook page, Riders in the Sky. Also, Classic Cowboy Corral is up on the Facebook, too.
Oh, man, you got to tune in. We got to thank Matthew for that.
So if you can honk, tweet, or toot, well, you can find us somewhere on the internet.
You can find us there.
I've got to go off and honk, tweet, and toot here for a moment.
There is a Western Music Hall of Fame as well as the Country Music Hall of Fame and all the other halls of fames around the world. And I guess I ought to say that Riders in the Sky were the first living members inducted into the Western Music Hall of Fame.
Well,
so that was quite an honor back in 1991.
It was great to be in the living category, I'll tell you that.
It still is, really.
It really is. Because
I appreciate it a lot. It so beats the alternative.
the number of folks in my bunkhouse who feel the same way.
And some that don't.
Well,
we don't want to talk about them.
No, I'll talk about it. Why not?
Anyway, this year's inductee into the Western Music Hall of Fame is Louise, Massey and the Westerners.
Oh, what a great band.
They came out of Texas and New Mexico in the late 20s and had a wonderful career, recorded over 100 sides for ARC, appeared on the National Barn Dance, appeared over network radio, and had two great big hits in the 1940s, one of which was the unbelievable classic song by Adobe Hacienda, which we are going to play for you now. And we'll say goodbye with Rex Allen from an Armed Forces radio transcription singing There's a Blue Sky Way Out Yonder. We hope you'll visit us again sometime and stay tuned to WSM.
Right you are, Ranger Doug, but I guess it's time for us to listen to My Adobe Hacienda.
Hit him up! Put him up!
Playing the record.